One of the principles guiding protests in democratic countries is that it must be peaceful. As Nigerians gear up for the planned protests slated from the 1st to 15th of August, President Bola Tinubu has sounded another note of caution that the protests may descend into chaos and undermine development in the country, if not carefully managed. President Tinubu also called for calm, urging protesters to reconsider their stand for the benefits of the country. Meanwhile, in a bid to douse tension during the protest, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Adegoke Fayade, has advised residents against attacking protesters. Jide, this is very, very important. Right to protest, and protesters will still want to come out. Some people will still want to come out.
Yes.
And a lot of people will allege that, oh, people that attack them, they are being sponsored by government and everything. Now the Commissioner of Police is saying that, look, if you see protesters, you don't have the right to even attack them. Just allow them to protest peacefully.
You know, my fear that I've expressed on issues with Jide yesterday is whether we can actually have a peaceful protest in a season when the people are extremely hungry, angry,
if you can have
agitated.
A peaceful protest.
Can we? You saw what happened in Yobe now. The vice president was there. The governor inaugurated some empowerment tools for farmers. And they started destroying the president's billboards and all that. They took their anger upon billboards. The level of anger in the country cannot be emphasized. So those who do not want protests, who think that no, it's because they think this protest will could potentially set the country on fire. They keep saying, oh, why is it that you don't want protest? Who is that Lagosian who saw what happened at NSAS, who will be excited that another protest is coming?
BRT buses, the red buses.
Something that was meant
tomorrow we are still
for the poor people.
Yes.
It wasn't meant for Tinubu.
65, 50.
You set them high capacity luxury buses. You set them ablaze. It takes a madman amongst people marching through the streets to do something.
Public infrastructure, honestly, that will benefit us.
Others will simply join him in destroying what is meant for the people. You know how many police stations they destroyed. And when the people say, oh, it is the government that is that causes the violence and all that, when they protested in the US against the police,
people started looting.
Did they not loot?
People started looting in the US.
In the so-called
country.
What do they call it? Senate clients. They were breaking into people's shops.
Yes.
You know, the problem for me, a lot of those shops you see, a lot of the business premises you see in our country, they are not insured, are you?
At all.
How many of them are insured?
No.
All of those, some of those big shops you see, Alade, even Admiralty Way and all that, they are not insured. When you set them ablaze or you loot everything, the next day the workers there, they have no job. There was a particular woman who spent her fortunes trying to keep her husband alive. The husband was sick. She sold her things just to struggle to keep the man alive. Invariably, they lost the man. After that, she got money from banks and set herself up in business. Protesters came and set ablaze. They looted and then set ablaze what was left. Now tell me, where you've ruined her life. If she's not careful, she will even commit suicide, because everything that she had,
what do you want us to,
everything that she had, you have taken away. You've taken everything that she had away. She has no reason to live anymore. So the point that we are making is, right now, We'll go to the girl. It's not time yet. It's not time. Right now, we can't allow a situation in which, because we are protesting, we can't move sick people to the hospitals. That shouldn't happen. You can't block the roads. Because people, in an emergency situation, you block the road, how do they get to take people to hospital? So this is the point. They must realize that, look, as you have your right to protest, other people have their right to not join you.
Should not infringe on you.
So you cannot force everyone to protest with you. When you stop people from going to their to work, you stopped them from making money to feed their families. Even in Kenya, because our own people, the NSAS thing was so badly organized, because they didn't want to have a leader.
A clear leader.
How do you do this kind of thing without definitive leaders?
Nobody to negotiate with.
No definitive leadership. How do you do it? Now, in Kenya, they said, okay, 2 days a week, we will demonstrate. They left other days for people to be able to go to work and make ends meet. In our own case, it was indefinite. We'll close the road.
Something.
Huh?
If we, from the 1st to 15th of August, 2 weeks.
So, is that how it is done? Now, let us look at some of the things that they are talking about. The demands. They said, scrap the 1999 Constitution and replace it with a people-made Constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria through a sovereign national conference to be immediately followed by a national referendum. When you scrap the Constitution, Ayo, when you scrap the Constitution, who takes over? That means there is no government. So who will be in leadership? Who will be governor of a state? Who will be president? They are not thinking. And referendum is not known to our constitution. You say you should scrap it. You say, toss the Senate up on the Nigerian legislative arm, keep the House of Representatives, and make lawmaking a part-time endeavor. Those things even take time before you can agree. You are talking about months before you can come with a new constitution.
Amendments.
It doesn't take. It takes so long. I will take 2 more because so that tomorrow we can deal with this matter fully, so that Femi too can talk. Pay Nigerian workers a minimum wage of nothing less than 250,000 monthly. Invest heavily in education, gives Nigerian students grants, not loans. Aggressively pursue free and compulsory education for children across Nigeria. Then they said, this is where I will stop. Release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally and demilitarize the Southeast. How is Nnamdi Kanu's detention a matter that concerns hunger? How is it related to hunger?
No, there's
is there a correlation?
Even in all you read, there's nothing particularly related to hunger.
Yes.
It's like
what are we talking about here?
As in the tension is so high.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about the hunger, it will resonate, across the country, and a lot of people will want to, as a kind of sympathy, join it. But we are talking about people with genuine intention, different from people with ulterior motives.
Yes, you know what Mr. Ostoji said is very instructive. We understand your right to protest, but do not infringe on the right of others. We'll just look at the NSAS. Even a lot of people that went to the Lekki toll gate are not people that commute daily using that toll gate, but they went and inconvenienced other people going about their legitimate business. Yes, and decided to block. Yes, we know we run a democracy, but it appears as if our people or even the protesters are not democratic. They do not even understand democracy. What we just have is a democratic government. How do you engage with the government in a democratic sense? You want the constitution to be scrapped. But we have the National Assembly already doing constitutional review. And they invite people every day, come there, you will refuse to go there. There's public hearing, you will not go and get involved. You will not go and engage the government, but you want to be on the streets shouting. They don't even understand democracy. It's the method that was used when they were tackling the military. That is the same thing. They have refused to evolve. That is the same method they are still using in a democratic system of government. So it appears as if they are also the enablers of the breakdown of law and order. And then whenever it goes south, they tell you that no, it is the government that sponsored hoodlums.
Yeah.
Hoodlums hijacked it, but you give them the platform. You gave hoodlums the platform to hijack this protest. So you are also aiding and abetting.
Those who looted
Right.
U.S. shops, was it government that sent them to loot U.S. shops?
Okay, joining us via Zoom for more discussion on this issue is a development economics, Ayobami Oyalowo. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your program.
Ayo, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Okay. What do you make of the planned nationwide protest?
I've been listening to your discussion, and it's enlightening. In fact, when Otitoju came up with the NSAS thing, it resonates with me clearly. I live in Lekki with my family, and not only did they block the roads, then there is one ShopRite that is called, it's in a place called Saku Mall. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
Not only was that entire place looted to the ground, it was punched to the ground after they finished looting. They ruined everybody who owns a business there. Everyone who works there lost their job. That place never came back until last year, October, after 3 years. So everyone who used to work there had lost their job. People who had businesses there have been ruined, and they have been rendered jobless and business-like. And like you also said, most of us don't insure our businesses. So people were completely wiped away. So I also believe that the essence of a protest is that we are trying to get the attention of government. But if you have gotten the attention, because we can all see all the arms of government right now, state governors, lawmakers, everyone is talking about it. So the essence of a protest is to get the attention of government. So if you have gotten the attention, why are we still insisting that we must go on the street? It is clearly a call to anarchy. You can see it. Even if they are not saying it, when you are saying release a prisoner who is justifiably held and who is constitutionally held, who is already undergoing a proceeding in court, and you are saying these are clearly pointing towards anarchy. So for me, I think we should look for a more democratic and reasonable way to present grudges, not trying to burn down the country and render many people useless. We are fighting against hunger, we are fighting against deprivation. All you are going to create is more hunger, more deprivation, more losses to people, and on the long run, what you are doing, you are not helping the matter. You are only exacerbating an already bad situation.
Ayobami, some people will say that the situation is very bad, that justifiably these people, they have the right to exhibit and demonstrate their anger, that the inflation rate, the poverty level across the country, that all is not well with Nigeria. How do we show government that we are hungry?
Like I've always said, the situation is bad, no doubt about it. We, as an economist, have looked at as a development economist, I look at the inflation rate and the high cost of living. It is clearly a challenging one for us as a country. However, the problem did not start yesterday, and it is not just a Nigerian problem. In fact, if you cast your mind back, from 2015 we've been having problems all over the world, and like we all know, the world is globally connected. When you lose, when something happens in point A, there is a huge chance that you will have in point B. It will affect you. From the oil downfall in 2015-16 to COVID in 2019-20 to the Ukraine war, now the Palestine, all these things come together to globally cause us challenge and problem. But I made one example, I'm going to make it again. Probably the government needs to do more of communication to Nigerians, and I will explain it in a simple manner. You see, when the American recession, which led to the World Great Depression in 1929 started, it lasted for about 10 years. The world started exiting in 1939. So by then, the world also went into another war called the Second World War. So what did the America do? America realized that we need to put more people, empower more people. And how do you empower people? You educate them. So how did they do that? They came up with the student loan scheme. And when they came up with the student loan scheme, it was able to help young aspiring people who want to get university education. Now Nigeria has come into this kind of situation. Now when the president came in, he said, okay, I want to do the student loan scheme so that people will be developed from poverty. You will not need to crowdfund, you will not need to beg for money, you will not say you can't go to school because your parents are poor or maybe because you are an indigent. So now what I am saying is maybe people around this president currently are not helping him to market the things he's doing. Now it's a structure he's building and we will not see the result like immediately. But it's something that's going to outlast him. Now when you have an educational system that works for people, student loan scheme was built, has been built now by Nigeria too. Now, if you dovetail it down, it comes to the local government thing that he's trying to do, such that people who can now go to school, you have local government bursaries, you can have local government development, and then you also remember just a week or two ago, the minimum wage thing was agreed. So it is a system that is being built, but it's going to take a while. Now, what we need to now do is, how do we quickly feed the system, let Nigerians eat while we are making the development? Now, this is where you now have to ask the governors, what have they helped to do with the huge funds that have come into their hands in the last 1 year and how many years, 1 year and 2 or 3 months now. So we need to work on all these things, understand it, and then tell Nigerians that, look, the president is doing his own part. Our state governments also need to wake up and help this president to achieve a developmental plan and program for Nigerians. So, yes, Nigerians are hungry. Yes, Nigerians are angry. However, our hunger and anger will not be assuaged by making a situation that is already bad worse. What we must do is get the leaders to work for the people. I was encouraged to see the former governor of Cross River State on the street, expressing desires, talking to people, explaining things to them. So Nigerians need to be made to understand what is being done. What we've had from especially the presidency side has been too much of silence, which means when people are not listening, hearing what their leaders are doing, there is an opportunity for other people to fill the vacuum with misinformation. And this misinformation is what has led us to this level of anger. So the president needs to make sure that the plans and the programs that he's pushing, even though painful today, has a reward for tomorrow. But while the reward is being done, let Nigerians understand this. And this is why I'm going to blame Mr. President or whoever those people are who need to help him to pilot and propagate these programs and plans to Nigerians. Because I'm sure if people understand this better, we will find a more amicable way to resolve our problems and differences, rather than going on the street to burn down the little infrastructure that we are not even having enough.
Now, I want to ask you, as an economist, always with an eye for the future. The president has put plans in place to import grains and food items generally into the country on a very big scale. Don't you think that this could be counterproductive in the final analysis?
You might want to say it is not a nice way to go about things, or it will not help our farmer, but you also must ask yourself, or most of us here are Yoruba, and I'm sure if I do this, I'll say it in English. So if a very well roasted meat is delicious, before the meat is fully roasted, you must put something in the mouth. So the plan by the presidency or by the government is a temporal plan, and I think it's a good idea. So when you are able to feed the people now, you can now plan for the next farming season. And I also give this example somewhere. You see, it is part of our lack of planlessness and continuity that has led us to where we are today. If you follow the trajectory in the past, we had the Anchor Borrower program. Yes, it was mismanaged by the CBN. We are all saying the Mefele man now in court and all this. But if you look back, you might say these things was mismanaged, people stole money and all that. But I want us to look at the good part. And what are the good part? I fortunately was in Kano during the time of Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. He built a very excellent system of irrigation in place. If you also remember, the current Minister of Budget and Planning, when he was governor of Kebbi State, he also did a lot in agriculture. What we didn't have is continuity. So I think what the government wants to do is to fill the gap of hunger now, bring down the prices of grains and food items. When we have done that, we must go back to agriculture. The government must come to a point where, look, you have to encourage farmers. What is the plan? If the Anchor Borrower program that was being done before was badly, was not well managed, let me not say badly because it did some things, but if it was not well managed and it was not well implemented, what can we do to improve on it, not to throw it away? Because food security must come with your ability to feed your people by yourself. Food security is not to depend on other people. One of the good things that the Buhari government did was during the time of COVID, despite the fact that the world was on the lockdown, we were able to feed ourselves, despite the challenges. So I don't want us to condemn what the president is trying to do in terms of trying to fill the little gap that we have right now of a distribution gap in food and feeding our people. So when they've done this, I think they say just for a few months. I think maybe 3 months or 6 months. I can't remember again. So it's just for a short period. But while we are feeding the people for that few months that we are looking at, the plan must be in place to ensure that there is a massive agricultural revolution that will come back to Nigeria. I have seen the governor of Nasarawa State, governor of Niger State, yes, Niger State, Bago, he's calling himself farmer governor, and we can see the plan the guy is doing. Now, what you will ask yourself is, what are the other governors doing apart from changing their VAT to dollar and hiding it and causing more problem in the system? The governors are the owners of the land. I always say this, the federal government does not own an inch of land in Nigeria. Every land belongs to a state. The state government must look at their own area of strength. If your state will do better in in sorghum or millet, then be the expert in millet. We've had Kebbi, Jigawa, and Niger State as experts in rice. Also, under the former Ebonyi State governor, the Ebonyi State had one of the massive agricultural plans in rice. These are the things we should go back to. So we must call these governors out that each state must look at the area where they are strongest, and massively encourage farming and agriculture, and then have off-takers. There are a lot of what you call the value chain. The governors must sit down, understand this. Instead of those wearing agbada, running away from their state and coming to Abuja every time, each governor should sit down at home and plan how to feed his own people and make sure that other states are fed too. So this is what I see. I don't see anything bad in this short-term plan that the presidency is trying to put in place. What I am just worried about is, what are the long-term objectives? What are the long-term plans that we'll have? Because this is just a stopgap program, but we can't live our lives on stopgap. When we have done the stopgap, what is our plan for next year? Dry season farming. In fact, dry season farming should start by October. What is our plan for dry season farming? We can do 2 seasonal farming. That way we will have less cyclical problem, like the tomato issue that we had, that we couldn't buy tomato in the last 3 months. Now tomato is all over the market. So this cyclic and seasonal problem can be solved if we are able to channel our power and our strength into production, instead of complaining, and our governors wearing agbada joining us to complain, pretending like they are not part of the problems.
All right. We have Felix on the line from Abuja. Let's quickly take this call from Felix. Thank you, Felix. Good afternoon. Go ahead. Yes. Turn down the volume of your monitor, Felix. Yes, I can hear you now. Oh, we're having problem with your audio.
Listening to yourself.
Are you still on? And Femi, did it?
Yes, the police. I don't know whether Ayo supports the idea of police giving the protesters a long list of conditions to be met, like they must provide the assembling point. the duration of protests, names and contacts of protest leaders. They must provide details of proposed routes. You know, they are saying that they are doing this in the best interest of internal security. Do you agree that all of these conditions must be met by protesters before they can protest?
If you remember what happened during the ENSA, the police were the biggest victim of that protest. They lost a lot of men. You remember the ones that were beheaded, the ones that were killed. In fact, some were even roasted on the road in Ibadan. I see some of the videos today on my phone. So I don't blame the IG for trying to do that. If you want to protest, which is your inalienable right as a citizen, then there must be guidelines. So I think what the IG is trying to do is to provide guidelines and ensure that the protesters are able to control their protest.
You're asking for the names of their leaders?
Well, it is a good thing. So that when something now happens, we will not have the idea when they came up to say, oh, this thing was hijacked, it was the government that sent those people. No, when we know the new protesters and they are on a particular route, any other miscreant can be dealt with. So I think the IG is right in trying to ensure that whoever is leading this protest is in control of this group of protesters, and the protesters will not do anything to affect the law negatively. Like we have said earlier on, I was listening in, you cannot block road for people to pass. You cannot stop other people from having their own right of passage. If you want to protest, or if I want to protest and you don't want to protest, I have no right to block you from the road and say you can't go to your own area. I mean, we've seen people who said their wives were stopped on the road. I saw one man on social media whose wife was stopped from Maryland. She had to, and she was pregnant with 7 months. For 7 months, she was 7 months pregnant. She had to trek all the way from Maryland to Ikorodu. And he said when she got home, she was bleeding. I don't know whether she lost that baby or not. But those kind of stories were, I mean, they are bound in that period. So you don't want to repeat such insane circumstances and situations. So I think the IG is right to say, look, provide the route, your address, that we know who to hold responsible when or if something negative happens. We hope it will not happen. We hope if they are going to protest, they will do it peacefully. But there must be decorum even in protest.
That's good.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Ayobami Oyalo. Thank you, Development Economics. Thank you for your time. Jude, we are going to continue this.
Yes, tomorrow we'll discuss it again.
Yeah, because it's going to be a challenging week.
It is. And what I even hear is that they want to wrong-foot the government by starting the protest not on the day that the government expects that they will start it, so that that will take the sail out of the preparations that the security forces are making. You know, if this happens, then we'll have a kind of protest that we cannot control in any way, because if you suddenly start a protest at a time that you didn't tell us you will start it, of course nobody can protest the protesters. Nobody can protest, and the police wants to be in a position to be able to monitor and minimize the risk involved in the protest. But if you do it suddenly in a manner that deliberately wrong-foots those who are supposed to protect the protesters, then anything can happen.
Yes, well, indeed, the government is making frantic efforts to see how they can prevail on these the organizers of this protest to shelve their plans by explaining what the government is doing and what more they will do to calm all frayed nerves. Well, we just hope that, all of this at the end of the day is in the interest of the country, and the protesters also put national interest first beyond just chasing clouds and using the hashtag to trend on Instagram and other social media platforms, because, that is what a lot of them are about, just for the trends, not really.
They do see the video of a woman who said they are telling them to come and buy vest for 6,000 naira.
Yeah.
Yes, she said, I am hungry. You're asking me for 1,000 naira, and 6,000 naira to wear vests.
We have to leave it there.
And you are
Professional picture upload on Instagram.
and you are saying, "Oh, pay to me, pay the money to me." I mean,
I don't thank you, Babajide Kolade Otitoju, the maestro. I don't thank you, Lala Femi Akode. Thank you for this, and that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of Journalist Hangout, our regular episode by 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakon. See you tomorrow, and God